Hello, 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 hello. Okay, let's talk about making changes and developing new habits. For many people, not just sensitive, deep feeling people, but for like all people, making changes and developing new habits is a hard thing to do. Most of us will kind of fall into one of three categories. The first is that we will find that we are incredibly indecisive and feel that we don't know what change to make or what habit to adopt. There's a sense of feeling overwhelmed and like not knowing what to do. So we kind of get stuck at that step. Or there are those of us that will pile too many changes on our plates at once and try to do all of the things and then burn out because we go too hard too fast and it's just like a shock. Then the kind of third camp are those of us that will begin with some changes and new habits, but then give up too easily on ourselves when we fail to stay consistent or when things kind of feel uncomfortable or hard, which they always will. And there will be a kind of struggle with consistency at first because it's like a brand new change, a brand new habit, right? It's something completely different than what you have been doing. So these kind of three camps that most of us will fall into. And a recent poll that I took among sensitive deep feelers, thank you for those that answered, um, is that most of you are actually getting caught up in the indecision, that camp. The camp that's like, I feel overwhelmed. I'm feeling indecisive about even like what direction to go in, what change to make, what new habit to adopt. And so really getting like caught up there, which is kind of not surprising, right? Like there's probably a lot of overthinking and overanalysis, and so then just like getting stuck there and never actually putting things like into tangible actions. So no matter what camp you find yourself in, even if you kind of like play in all three, all of this, part of the reason that making changes and new habits is so hard. All right, are you listening? All of these tendencies have one thing in common at their root, and that is shame. Shame, shame, shame. Shame is my specialty. If you've been following me for like a second, you know this. Um, because it is actually the true root cause of most all sensitive deep feelers challenges in life. I don't care if that challenge shows up as anxiety or burnout or people pleasing or overwhelm or self sabotage or whatever other label you want to give it. The actual root, the thing that is actually making your life feel so hard as a sensitive, deep feeling person is shame. And making new changes, making habits is no exception to this. So, shame arises when our sense of safety, belonging, contentment, and or joy feel threatened. And so it's an important evolutionary trait that actually motivates us to change. Yeah. So that we can maintain this sense of safety, belonging, contentment, and joy. So it's a positive thing. But when we internalize this threat to our sense of safety, belonging, contentment, and or joy, when we internalize that threat to those things to mean that there's something inherently wrong or shameful about ourselves at the core of who we are, of who we naturally are, particularly as sensitive, deep feeling people in a world that doesn't value those traits, then this positive aspect of the human becomes harmful. So, bottom line, I have so much more material on shame. I have a whole program that helps us to overcome it. You can go check all of that out. But bottom line, for the purposes of our conversation here today, is that shame is the most likely reason that you're struggling with making new habits. Even though you may believe that you like really want those new habits. So what do we do, right? Like is all lost? Are we just gonna keep floundering in the sea of indecision about not knowing what change or what habit to make? Or are we gonna keep piling too many changes on our plates and then burn out? Or maybe you're the one that's struggling with the consistency and then giving up. Like, what do we do? Do we just stay stuck here? Well, no, no, we don't. We don't, because you can do it and you deserve whatever it is that you are authentically wanting. So, here are some simple steps to help you do just that, to help you to follow through and to get clear about change and making change and habits. For starters, be clear, like really crystal clear around your motivations for making a change. So, what is motivating you to want to make the change that you want? What is motivating you to develop this new habit? Um, is it from within or is it some external cue? Is it in response to this belief that you have that you're not enough, that you have to overcompensate and like prove yourself? Are these changes and habits, even if they might look, positive or healthy on the outside, are they really just more mechanisms and avenues of self-punishment? Yeah? So, what is motivating you? Is it from within? What is motivating this change? What is motivating this new habit development? How do you feel about not doing them? So what would happen if these changes weren't made? And if you find yourself starting to go towards like, well, so and so, or like something outside of you, maybe that's an indication that it's not actually from within. If you think about not doing these things and it's like well, I'll continually feel like crap if I keep, eating that thing or not getting the amount of sleep that I need. So I really need to make that change so that I can feel better. There's a little bit of a different energy there. So start simply to set yourself up for success. Be really clear about what it is and why. Why do you want this thing? Why are you wanting to bring this change into your life? That can be a very enlightening question. Very enlightening question. So let the motivation come from within yourself and let your reasons be how you want to feel from the inside out. And let it be a change in a habit that really brings greater fulfillment and greater richness to your life rather than kind of taking away from it or depleting you. And then lastly, make the thing fit into your current life. So if you feel a sense of shame or the need to punish yourself when you haven't done the new change or the new habit, rather than appreciating what it has given you and continues to give you when you're not actively engaged in it, then again, come back to questioning your motivations. So this could look like, if the thing that you are bringing into your life, let's say, um, okay, I'll use a recent client example. A client had a new hobby that she had really been wanting for quite a long time. And so she brought it into her life and she was so excited and so proud of herself that she was able to do something good for her. Something that had nothing to do with anybody else, nothing to do with her partner or her child, just for her. And then she was starting to feel down on herself because she had let a day or two slide where she wasn't engaging with this new practice that she had come up with for herself. And I gently invited her to realize that A, it's a brand new thing. So there's going to be some kind of back and forth as it's becoming your new lifestyle, your new way of being. You're working against a long time of not having it. That's a lot of inertia that built up in the other direction. So have a little grace with yourself. And the other thing that I really invited her to look at was like, how is this thing really supporting your life in such a way that even in its absence, its effects are still felt? So even in the absence of a day of not partaking in this practice with herself, its positive impacts were still lingering, still echoing, still very much part of her life. And so that's another really good clue. If we're feeling better about ourselves, better in our skin, better about how we're feeling as we're adopting this thing, and it's an activity that we enjoy and it brings us a sense of fulfillment, but then also how is it impacting us in its absence? And so for her, this was like having this new hobby was like, almost just crazy amazing good for so many reasons on so many levels. It was giving her a chance to practice her boundaries, like saying, "Hey, I'm going to go do this thing now." Right? She had an opportunity to use her voice to express boundaries. The act of the particular practice was giving her an avenue into knowing herself more fully, into harnessing her intuition. So again, even in the absence of like doing the actual thing, its effects are compounding and bringing um, much more than what it just is at the surface. Yeah. So, and again, back to the last thing I shared of really making it fit into your current lifestyle and keep practicing and modifying accordingly rather than giving up on yourself. So, letting it all build and compound, having a lot of grace and space. But the most important thing, above all, that I would really highly invite you, if you just like take nothing else away from me today, is to get really clear on your why and what's motivating the desire to have this change and to have this new habit that you're building. Really stay connected to the feeling level, the emotional level, the energy that you're looking to cultivate or to change within yourself, rather than being so fixated on the act of the new habit itself. And really stay focused on small, consistent steps and seek support and guidance to go even further. So, this is all part of what is explored in my program, the InnerSpark Method. And the InnerSpark Method is a whole person, trauma informed approach to building resilience in sensitive, deep feeling people so that they may truly thrive confidently, joyfully, and shamelessly in body, mind, and spirit for life. We look at the 5 elements framework, really looking at body, emotions, and energy, mind, your connection to nature and sense of spirit, and your relational and social connections. So, this whole multidimensional resilience building to really be able to hold life's challenges and joys for the long haul. So enrollment is open. I would love to have you reach out and we can discuss if you're a good fit for the program, and you can learn more at theinnersparkmethod.com. And be sure to share here in the group what changes and habits you're working on currently, how it's going for you, and what is really motivating these changes. What are you noticing? And I will see you next time. Thank you for tuning in.